We speed up that process by bringing AI into the hands of the loan officers to help them review the loan applications faster, review all the documents, and then call up borrowers asking for missing documents.
I have built my own custom GPT, and I know that it's hallucinating like crazy. And half the times I'm yelling at this thing when I see those cliche phrases. I know the ChatGPT wrote that.
Yeah.
Nothing is more discouraging than when a lender tells you that it's going to take 60 days and it ends up taking 6 months.
The lending industry lost like 47% of all loan officers in the last 2.5 years. All of this dry powder that's just sitting on sidelines waiting for rates to come down is all going to come pouring into the market 18 months from now.
Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Development Land to Legacy.
Real estate development.
Michael Vandi is joining us today. Michael, tell us about what you do and what is your platform all about?
Yep. Thank you for having me, Eugene. So I run Addy AI. I'm the founder of the company. So essentially what we do is we're building an AI loan processor to help real estate lenders close loans faster. So if you're a real estate investor applying for a loan, you have to submit a bunch of documents. Those documents have to end up on a loan officer's desk. Take a lot of time to get reviewed. You have to get pre-approved and then finally approved for the loan. We speed up that process by bringing AI into the hands of the loan officers to help them review the loan applications faster, review all the documents, and then call up borrowers asking for missing documents. Also following up on application process and doing due diligence on borrowers. All of that just helps up the process to close a loan from weeks to days. Working with some mortgage lenders, ranging from large lenders to small lenders, and many different types of loans are being funded.
Awesome. So I love technology. I love AI and everything that has to do with it. Help me understand, who's the primary user of your platform? Is it the lender or is it the borrower?
The lender, to be specific.
So you're licensing your platform to loan officers and it helps them go through the process faster.
Yes.
Awesome. How many lenders do you have on board, or how does that work? Do they need to specifically sign up, or how do they know about you?
Yeah. So they can sign up on our website and then reach out. We have a whole sales process that people go through coming through a sales pipeline. We're currently doing our 9th deployment this week, and we work on a per-seat licensing model. So essentially, some of our lenders have anywhere ranging from like 30 loan officers in the platform to even 5 loan officers on the platform.
Interesting. So how does it work? AI is such a wonderful, broad thing. It could do so many different things. Can you give me an example?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's say Eugene, you are looking at a multifamily property that you want to invest in Minnesota. And you have a lender that you've worked with in the past, and you're talking to them about this scenario. You send them an email, say, hey, I'm looking at this property. Would you be able to get me pre-approved for the property? That lender has a credit policy. Maybe they lend in Minnesota, maybe they don't lend in Minnesota. So they have to go look at your scenario, look at the policy that they have. And for the first stage, what we do is our AI looks at the scenario that you're proposing to the lender, whether you fill an online application form on a POS or you send them an email. It looks at all of that context, and then it tells the lender whether or not that particular loan scenario meets their credit policy. So it immediately gives them a summary of the scenario and then tells them whether or not it passes a policy. If it passes a policy, then you can move on to the next stage. If it doesn't pass a policy, it gives you recommendations on how to make it pass. Maybe it's around the location of where the property is. All of that is so these lenders don't lose out on deals. Let's say you've gone past that process. Now it's the process to submit documents. If you are self-employed, you have to submit like a 1099 and then maybe like 2 or 3 months of bank statements that ends up on a loan officer's desk, have to review it to make sure like you're credit worthy. And some of the things that they're looking for ranges from looking for large cash deposits, things that might be considered red flags, yellow flags, depending on how you look at it. And so we have AI automatically extract that information determine that, and then present it to the lender immediately so that they can make decisions off of that. It leads to significantly faster credit decisioning because we have AI in the middle of that. So you have some income calculation that you have to do as well. So the AI does the income calculation, provides all the information to the lender. And let's say it determines that, hey, you're missing homeowner's insurance or some kind of document. And we have these AI agents that can actually call up the borrower. So call up Eugene, speak in like a human voice, and then ask you like, hey, we're looking at your application and we noticed that something's missing. Can you go ahead and send them over to us? Now, that doesn't seem like much if you're doing like one or two applications. The loan officers can do it. But imagine lenders that do hundreds of applications a month. You could have these agents do all of these follow-ups for these lenders, and that really speeds up the process. So that's in a nutshell how the platform works.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. So, does it actually analyze the merits of the deal? Like if it's a new construction project, for example, or even an existing income producing property, I would typically have a pro forma where I estimate my rents, my expenses, project my growth, and so forth. Can this AI tool actually analyze the pro forma and request informations or spit out some sort of a report based on that projection and maybe compare it to historicals as well?
Yeah. We've done a little bit of like historical analysis for residential properties. For commercial real estate, it has a lot more to it than residential. So we haven't done much about underwriting for commercial real estate, but we've done a little bit of reporting underwriting for residential real estate. It's not core to the credit decisioning, but it just helps the loan officers to see whether this property is a good investment or not.
I see. So the main purpose of the tool is to underwrite the credit primarily, right?
Not particularly in the case of getting loans closed faster, but it can be.
How long have you been developing this?
So we didn't start off with real estate loans, actually. We started off as during email automation for loan officers. And then we talked to them about what are some of the pain points that they have. And most of it ranges from when clients go dark, following up with clients, to slow processes in closing loans, to document review. Then we decided to build a much larger platform around that problem and focus entirely on the mortgage lending niche. So the first line of code was written in December 2022. And then I was still in school by then. So once I graduated, we went full time in May 2023. And then we only pivoted to specifically serving lenders exclusively in March to this year.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's pretty fast from what I know about software development. It's a pretty fast timeline to get to actual market because you're actively selling the product, right?
Yeah, the
License.
product is live in production.
Wow. Awesome. That's amazing. So I don't know much about AI. I'm a user. I know nothing about coding, but I have built my own custom GPT and I know that it's hallucinating like crazy. And half the times I'm yelling at this thing, I'm like, yo, did you forget the actual rules that I put in there? Like do
Yeah.
this, and then. And it's like, oh yeah, sorry about that. And then it hallucinates again. So how do you deal with it?
Yeah. That's cool to see that you're one of the people that are actually using AI in your daily life. I have some questions about what are some of the use cases you're using it for. So, to your question about preventing hallucinations, it really ranges from training the models to do one thing really well, and they're only geared towards doing that particular thing. So, for let's say document review model. So, the document review model, we train one model for reviewing bank statements. We train another model for reviewing W-2s, train another model for reviewing 1040s, 1099s, 1003s. And then what happens is if you give the W-2 model a bank statement, it's not going to review it because it's been trained specifically for it. The reason why ChatGPT hallucinates a lot because its training data is so vast that sometimes the model gets overfit. So it produces responses that are not responses that you expect. But if you've tuned the model to be good at only one thing, and real estate is super niche, especially in the lending industry, where most loans pretty much go through the same process, same documents that you have to submit as real estate investors. As you apply for many of these things, it's just like the same thing that they ask over and over again. So you can actually train a model to understand that process specifically. And that's actually one of my beliefs in AI, that for AI, to get to the point where it's incredibly useful, we're not going to have an artificially AGI, like an artificial general intelligence model, because there's still going to be risks of hallucinations, inaccuracies. We need to have small specialized models like your custom GPT that's good at one particular thing. And then we're going to see a bunch of different domain specific AGIs instead of like one particular AGI.
Interesting. So, what's the underlying engine behind your platform? Is it something you develop yourself, or are you using like OpenAI's or Google's or whatever other flavors of AI exist right now?
Yeah. So we're using open source models that are available on Hugging Face, and then we tune those models for the responses of our customers. So OpenAI, I mean, they were great. They have one of the best models, GPT 4.0, but it's still a closed source model. It's still an enterprise model that you have to send data over to another enterprise, still a third party model. We'd want to have these models in our own ecosystem. So that's our thinking behind it. Smaller models surprisingly perform really well when you tune them with a lot of data to a particular topic. So smaller models do really well, ranging from, I don't know how technical the audience is, but I can talk about specific models. So Microsoft has this model called Phi 3 that does really well. The Llama models from Facebook are amazing. And then Mistral, this company out of France, is also building like good open source models. So we take these open source models, we get training data, and then we tune these models for specific real estate use cases.
Awesome. Most of it was over my head, but it was complicated enough for me to know that you know what you're talking about.
What do you use your custom GPT for?
Mostly marketing, social media. So what we do is once a week we come up with list of topics that we want to talk about and write a short, 2 sentence outline about those topics, and then we trained this custom GPT through ChatGPT to write a post, and we programmed to use specific hooks to make an interesting opening line, then to describe a problem that has to do with the outline of the subject that we're talking about, and then wrap up with some sort of a call to action. And then we trained it to use my voice because it needs to sound like me. We trained it to, stop using emojis because for whatever reason it defaults to like throwing a bunch of emojis that look stupid, or like, cliche phrases. Like when I see them now that I've been using ChatGPT a lot, when I see those cliche phrases, I know that ChatGPT wrote that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, every time I see that, I'm like, cut that out. Like, stop using seasoned professional, or stop using. And here's the kicker, 'cause every single write up sounds like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that mostly for marketing purposes.
Okay. What training data did you use? Is it like PDFs, your previous blog posts that you trained it with?
So all of the above. A lot of when we trained it to use my kind of style and voice, a lot of emails, just casual emails that I would write, just
Wait,
copied and pasted them in there. PDFs of older posts that we've done by hand.
what?
So yeah, things like that.
One of the problems I have with ChatGPT and custom GPTs is giving them dynamic context, like continuously giving them context. So if you have like a website and content changes on that website over time, and even you as a human, you change over time, you have to constantly be training them. I think there's a lot of opportunity for dynamic context provision to an LLM for retraining, so you don't have to keep doing that all the time. Google has this product called Notebook LM that I've been using quite a bit recently, and I can give it context from YouTube videos and different kinds of things. I use it for when I'm studying about a topic. I just give it the video and it performs really well. I think it could be something that you can check out.
Yeah, I heard about it a couple of weeks ago. It's on my screen. I started playing around with it, but just didn't have time to actually digest it. One of the cool things there was you can actually create like a podcast style episode when there's a dialogue, like a male and female voice discussing the subject. And I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh, I wonder if I could use it for my podcast. It just needs to sound like me.
You could create like fictitious characters.
Interesting. So for a real estate professional, for an end user, how could your tool be useful to me or somebody like me?
All right. So if you're a real estate investor, one of the things that you do mostly is trying to find funding for a project, is trying to find who the right investor is for the project that you're doing. one of the free tools that we've actually published is a directory of lenders. And the goal for that tool is you can not only search by location, but you can search by specific loan programs. So you can search what are the lenders in San Francisco, California that offer bridge construction loans? Or what are the lenders in Mankato, Texas that offer fix and flip loans? And then it could semantically give you that answer. We have AI agents that go on the internet trying to find that information 24/7 and then provide it to you. So this is a tool that's free that folks can use. You could tell your lender that, hey, there's this tool that helps close loans faster. If you're tired about spending weeks trying to get some loans closed from your lender, you could advocate for it and have it being used by the lender. Right now, it's mostly internal facing for these lenders. But eventually, I think as AI becomes much more consumer facing, we want it to be over 99.9% accurate for it to be more consumer facing so we can start bringing it over to consumers. But one of the things that people can use right this minute is our lender directory for real estate investors.
And what type of lenders are there?
Yeah. So anywhere from private lenders to banks to brokers to what other kinds? Mostly individual shops on there. So you can go on there, find the individuals and have their contact information and reach out to them.
Okay, that's awesome. How about insurance companies?
No, we don't have insurance companies on there. Insurance
That'd be
is so
cool.
just waste.
Insurance, not the ones that provide insurance services, but insurance companies that actually invest and fund projects. 'Cause there's a few of them that fund, well, it's mostly on a commercial side, but yeah, there's lots of insurance companies that actually finance real estate projects. That's why I asked.
Okay. If there's an insurance company that finances real estate projects, I'm sure there could be a couple of them there. Hey, one of the insurance companies,
I think
lenders.
SoFi is a bank from what I know.
Okay.
Cool. It'd be awesome to use a tool like that for also private equity, like institutional grade private equity or family offices that invest into projects. I'm sure a lot of developers, real estate investors would be interested in that. That's usually the tough thing to find. So if you have AI agents scraping the internet looking for stuff like that, seems like that could be a nice next step addition.
Oh yeah. Like I mentioned before, we're big on dynamic context. So having these AI agents go on the internet, continuously finding information and providing that context to the AI, it could be used for a wide variety of things. Right now, we're super laser focused on the real estate market, but as AI continues to advance, I'm sure there's going to be opportunities for other things that we could venture into.
Right. Excellent. And then what's that website?
It's Addy,
Addy, ADDY dot.
Addy AI on Google. It's going to be the first result that pops up.
Gotcha.
Cool.
So listeners, if you're looking for a loan or lender, go to Addy AI and search for those lenders, and then tell them about Michael's product so that they could sign up.
Absolutely. I'm curious, how long have you been in the business?
A little over 20 years now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And what investments do you typically look at?
In residential, multifamily, single family. Started out, my family business. My father was a contractor, and I myself didn't really want to be a general contractor. So when I got done with college, got my MBA, my dad brought me into the business, and at first started out by helping on the construction side, and then we quickly transitioned to development, started buying properties, and then shifted our model mostly to partnering with property owners to get their projects realized. So that's our niche right now. Is we work with less experienced developers, first-time developers, property owners who have ambitions to develop their sites. And quite often we get calls when somebody started working on a development project. They maybe hired an architect, a couple engineers, and went down the path of getting the permits, but then faced challenges getting the project financed. And so they would call us, we would partner with them, help get the project financed, help raise additional equity, help find debt, and then manage construction process through completion, refinance, or sale. So definitely financing, looking for loans, looking for all kinds of creative financing solutions is something that we do all the time. So it's usually very tedious task. It takes a lot of time, and super excited about solutions like yours that could help us find the lenders faster that could help lenders underwrite the deals faster, because nothing is more discouraging than when a lender tells you that it's going to take 60 days and it ended up taking 6 months. and,
Wait,
and they always blame us. It's never their fault.
yeah. So, I mean, the lending industry lost like 47% of all loan officers in the last 2.5 years. So these lenders are terribly understaffed right now
So your solution or your product could be a solution to their problem, right?
to their problem. And the market's like it's very cyclical, as you know. Rates go up, rates come down, commission-based orders come in. Which part of the process has been the most challenging for you personally? Is it like the funding side, the lending side, or the construction side, or managing the investment portfolio?
I mean, it's all of the above. In the last couple of years, raising equity has been the hardest because of the state of the economy, because of the rise in interest rates.
Well,
A lot of lenders, especially on the commercial side, are telling us, look, we're not even going to look at your deal unless you tell us that you're equity secured. And so then we need to go and make sure that we have the equity. And what's funny is that a lot of equity investors tell us, look, we don't want to look at your deal unless you have your debt figured out. We're like, well, which one comes first?
well,
The lender wants me to bring equity and you guys want me to bring the lender. So we kind of have to play with this chicken and egg scenario a lot. But a lot of institutional grade private equity has been sitting on sidelines, not investing in new construction deals. They're still looking for those distressed deals that they could buy for less than the cost to build. Sometimes they're finding it, but there's a ton of cash sitting on sidelines still waiting for what's going to come.
rates. Um, all of this dry powder that's just sitting, investment dry powder sitting on the sidelines, waiting for rates to come down, is all going to come pouring into the market 18 months from now. A chokehold on the number of deals that can be financed, a lot of competition on who gets what deals. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens to the real estate market in like 18 months, depending on what the Fed does. But I think it's just an exciting market.
I agree. Yeah, we're trying to get prepared for that. We have several new development projects in the pipeline, from a large apartment building to a hospitality project, resort community, to a few smaller single family developments, all up here in Western Washington. But yeah, we're basically getting them ready, set up so that we could pull the trigger and get going full speed ahead and hopefully beat the competition, because our
Amazing.
projects are going to be designed, permitted, and ready to go.
Amazing.
So awesome. Well, we're coming up on our time, Michael. Anything else you'd like to add, mention before we wrap up?
I think in general, I'm looking forward to connecting with realtors, connecting with brokers, connecting with lenders. So anyone who's listening can reach out to me via LinkedIn. I am very active on LinkedIn. So if you type my name in, Michael Vandi, I'm the first name that pops up. And if you're really wanting to get on a call with me, you can book a demo on our site, and I'm 100% going to be the person on the call.
We'll have links in the show notes. So please check out Addy AI, connect with Michael. It's a super cool tool.
When the safe development.